Gary Payton and the Seattle Supersonics.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf.
John Ursua.
Cliff Averill.
This is Nate Burleson. You're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam. You're watching NorbCam.
Well, this was the one video I was not looking forward to doing this year. Inevitably, it was going to have to be done. Of course, I was hoping it'd be much later, like as in February. But as it turns out, the season is over. Packers defeat the Seahawks 28-23. And here we are, season done, and it's suddenly time to move on. Seahawks cleaned out their lockers yesterday. Everyone's gone. And just like that, we have to watch everybody else play now, of those 4 teams remaining. Thank you guys for joining in. I wasn't sure how many people would be joining in this morning, but I see there's plenty of you guys. Procaccini Games, Bricks Ty, Christopher, Castiglione wants to know who's winning, Packers or Niners. I'll get into that later. Good morning, Solstice, beat by Jessica. Hope you guys are all doing well. We had snow again today. Not much. I mean, it's like barely, not even an inch. And they closed down the schools at Kent School District for a second day in a row. Yesterday we had like a quarter inch of snow and they closed the schools. Anyway, so my kids are sleeping in. I'm doing my thing here. And anyways, I thought before I get into the specifics of the game, I thought I'll try to start with the positives first. So I want to talk about the season as a whole, because obviously when you lose the game, it's hard to not focus on but the negatives. Let's start on the positive. Let's see. I have my little thing here I was going to show you guys. I did a little poll yesterday. I wasn't sure if you guys saw it. I did a poll on my YouTube channel, just a post. Never done a poll before. It was my first poll. And I put the question out there, and I'll show it to you right here. Let's see if it shows up. Hey, there it is. I said, this was last night. I said, for those of you who are curious, I'll be going live tomorrow, which I'm doing right now, with my postseason thoughts of the 2019 Seahawks. Question, do you feel this was a good season for the Seahawks? And almost a little over 900 people voted. 85% said yes, 15% said no. And I was actually surprised, considering, how frustrating that loss was on Sunday. That I thought more people would be upset. That'd be a little more closer towards 50-50. But considering that seems like a pretty resounding majority of people thought it was a pretty good season. And from what you guys are saying out here, it seems like most people are pretty positive. I'm not doing call-in this time. I'm going to do it next time. I really want to just get a lot of stuff out here, and then I'll throw the floor out there the next day or two and get your guys' thoughts and be more of a mediator of your questions and airing out your frustrations and grievances and so forth. But I guess I would start it like this, where if you were to rewind back in time and someone were to tell you that this season, this is what you're going to be facing, all right? You're going to, first of all, lose your starting tight end, who's going to start out awesome, and you're going to lose him. You're going to lose your center. You're going to lose your left guard and your left tackle for most of the season, especially right before the postseason or before the end of the season. You're going to lose your strong side linebacker, Michael Kendricks. You're going to lose Tyler Lockett for a stretch of time to an injury. You're going to lose all 3 of your running backs, completely wipe out your entire starting backfield. And on top of that, and there might be more, I'm just going to go into the highlights. And then on top of that, you're going to go 4-4 at home. If you were to just tell me that much information, I'd go, man, we suck. we're going to be lucky to go 8-8. But then if someone was finish that and say, no, actually, you're going to finish the season 11-5, and you're going to make it to the divisional round, and with 5 minutes remaining in the game, you only be down 5 points to the Packers. I would probably say, sign me up. I'll take that. Given all those factors, I'll take that any day of the week and twice on Sunday. So when you step back away from the frustration of how it ended, you got to consider yourself pretty fortunate. And I've said throughout this whole season that I thought that we were lucky. Let's use, for lack of a better words, we were lucky to be at that point where we were. When you look at how narrowly we had won these games, I thought we were very fortunate to be, in the playoffs. All right. And so inside, I think I was grateful to be even battling for this position where we were. Granted, I had higher hopes that I wanted to get beyond the divisional round because we haven't been past the divisional round since the 2014 season. We've gotten to that point, and last year went to the wild card, and we only missed the playoffs 1 year. So it's like we keep hitting that same ceiling, and then but you gotta admit, as a Seahawks fan, since 2010, we've been in the playoffs every year except for 2011, 2017. How many teams can say that other than Patriots, right? So we've been pretty spoiled. We've been pretty fortunate to have this kind of situation for the Seahawks. So bird's eye view, I felt like that's pretty good. While I wanted to get more, that's a pretty good season. And really, when you look at it, we've probably had one of the most entertaining seasons for a team. I know those teams are still going on. Obviously, theirs are still entertaining. But for our team, bang for the buck, if you're, because really, let's be real about this. This football is entertainment, right? We are doing this because we enjoy watching the game of football. And if you had a choice, would you rather, obviously no one wants to be losing, but if you had a choice of winning, would you rather be blowing out teams 50-10? Basically, be the Ravens. They were dominating so many teams and coasting through most of their games, and they lost at the same point we did. I mean, the Ravens were given everything they had going for them. Their games weren't as entertaining as ours. He was entertaining to watch, don't get me wrong, but from a standpoint of game entertainment, the Seahawks were about as interesting as you can get because every game was interesting right up to the very end. We had a couple overtimes, some games that were decided right down to the last second, and the NFC Championship game against the Packers was no exception. So for your entertainment dollar, this team was fun to watch. There's nothing worse than a boring game. So an exciting game. A couple blowouts. We lost bad to the Cards and we lost bad to the Rams. Those were probably the two games where we were like really just never quite got into it. But the rest of the games were all down to the wire. TV ratings had to love the Seahawks because they were always, kept everybody glued to the TV till the very last second. So for my buck, you got to be pretty happy with how not only did the way that it turned out, how far they went, the entertainment value of what you got, just keeping you engaged throughout the whole time. And then the fact that they did do all that, overcoming the injuries, and really in some ways, had the running backs not been decimated like that, and by the way, Ancient Hawk 48, 199, thanks for the super chat. He was short. We'll get to that in a second. But had we not lost all our running backs, which of course, if I had a choice, I'd rather have them because without Chris Carson was tearing it up. I love the guy, and losing him was, I think, a huge detriment to our ability to go along in the playoffs. But had we not lost our running backs, we wouldn't have seen the return of Beast Mode. And in some ways, the return of Beast Mode, which, again, if you told me that he'd be coming back, I wouldn't have believed you. I'd be like, what? There's no way he's coming back here. I mean, he hung it up. The issues with the Seahawks in the front office and Beast Mode, no way he'd come back. I never would have thought in a million years we get to see him. And I got to watch him again in person on the field. Score, how many touchdowns? 3 touchdowns? Or 4 touchdowns? I can't remember. 2 in the Packers game. Oh, no. What was it? 1 in the Packers game, 2 in the Eagles game, 1 against the 49ers. I think it was 5 touchdowns. Anyway, to see him in person in a Seahawks uniform again, that alone, was worth the price of admission. So we've had a lot of really cool things. I want to watch the season that Russell Wilson had. Guy is amazing and never misses a play. So, so I look back and I think, while you don't have the hardware, you don't have the ultimate prize, what you do get, and really what being a fan is about is, you want the hardware. It's fun to brag about. You won this, won that. But to me, it's about the memories. It's the memory, especially when you're there, when you get to be there and you get to feel the noise and you get to smell the the fireworks in the air and the cold wind, and you feel the vibration of the stadium. And when they have those moments like beast mode coming out in the field for the first time and watching it from the Seahawks 12 platform, or when he scored, watching everybody's anticipating it, looking back at those things, those memories, those are the things that are almost bigger than the actual prize that you win, because that's the stuff you talk about. That's the stuff you just sit down when in the middle of the day and you just have a random thought. Oh, remember that time when Beast Mode did this, or when Russell Wilson did that, or DK Metcalf had that game. And those are things that you remember, that you cherish, and then you remember the people you were with when it happened. And so that's what being a fan is all about. So you aim for the hardware and for the wins and the titles, but you live for the memories. You live for being able to just think about how great this play was, or how awesome this game felt, and you get to talk about it. I get to talk about it with my dad, or my friends, or Pat, or Mark, or whoever. Even if you weren't at the game together, you get to talk about it because they watched it on TV, and later on you get to talk about what it was like. And in my case, I get to share it with you guys. You get to see it. You get to be with me when you watch my reaction videos, and that's what's cool about doing this whole YouTube thing. So I think about that, and I look back, and that kind of, it brings a smile to my face and helps ease the pain of the fact that this season has come to an end. And let's face it, no matter what team you are, there's only going to be one team that's happy at the end of the season. There is no other team that's really going to be happy with how things turn out. If you don't make the playoffs, you're pissed. We didn't make the playoffs. You make the playoffs and you don't reach the Super Bowl. Here we are. We're pissed. We're upset. We should have won. We should keep going. We should have made it to the Super Bowl. La, la, la. You make it to the Super Bowl. If you lose, look at the Rams. I mean, they weren't happy. You don't see them having a parade going, "Hey, we got second," or "Hey, we made it." At least we made it to the game. There is no consolation. Trust me. I know what it's like to have. It's almost worse. It's almost worse to get that close and to fall short. Well, you don't get any closer than you know what. So there is no happy ending for anyone except one team, and one of those four teams is out there. It's going to be either Kansas City, Tennessee Titans, San Francisco 49ers, or the Green Bay Packers. So that said, every team has to look back and, appreciate the good things. And then you also get to the part where you get to be the critical part of being a fan. And every fan is allowed to do it. I'm allowed to do it. You guys are allowed to do it. And I get a little annoyed by people who, if you start questioning the coaches or questioning this, people say, "Well, I'm a Seahawks fan, till I die, and, if you're not behind the Seahawks like that, you're not really a real fan." It's like, no. Being a real fan sometimes means understanding what we're not doing well and what we can improve on. So everyone's entitled to their opinion. Sometimes people have whacked opinions, and sometimes I like to think that I can have an objective mind and look at back at the team and know, having watched this team for so many years, have a pretty good idea of what they tend to do well and what they don't do well, and scratch your head going, why aren't they fixing what they're not doing well? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But now you're at that point where you, to a certain degree, can. So those are my positives. Right, I think I cheerleader rah about as much as I can at this point. So now that we've got the roses and flowers out of the way, let's talk about a few thorns. Let's get into this game specifically. Okay, so I've said it before and I've said it again. The biggest frustration with this philosophy, and it's no surprise, I've said it every single game, which is, why the hell does it take so long for Seattle to get going, right? Everybody's wondering that. Why do we wait till the third quarter, the fourth quarter to finally wake up and get going? I've said before, why not start up-tempo? Why not start as if you have 5 minutes left in the game and you're down by a touchdown? At this point, when you're in the playoffs, you're not saving yourself for anything. I understand the beginning that maybe you don't want to do that because you don't want to tire out your defense. You don't want to put Russell Wilson at unnecessary risk. But it's win or go home. There's no more waiting for next week. This is your last week. This is next week. This is your tomorrow, today. This is your season. So I know we've always been in that mode of let's run the ball, establish the run, and do all that stuff. But the same thing happened, not as badly. We weren't as stubborn as we were last year against the Cowboys, but we didn't open it up enough. And it's not necessarily because I know we did try to throw the ball. We were definitely throwing the ball, mixing it up a little bit more than we did last year when we got run stuffed by the Cowboys, and that was really frustrating. What I would have liked to have seen more of was the Seahawks were, through most of the first half, what was happening was Seattle, because of the pressure put on by the Packers, they had a hard time, one, we had a time running the ball. Two, we had a hard time protecting Wilson. So we had max protect. We had all these guys. And if you notice, a lot of times we only sent out sometimes 2 receivers, maybe 3, and they're only rushing 4. So what that means is you got 7 guys. You got 11 players on the defense, 4 guys up front, 7 guys in coverage, covering 2, maybe 3. 7 on 2, 7 or 3. That's why Russell Wilson would be back there. And he's like, and you're like, throw it, Wilson. And he's looking. So 2 things there. One, well, maybe he should throw it. Maybe he needs to try to get that ball in there. But as I said many times before, Russell Wilson, following Pete Carroll's mantras, don't, protect the ball. So I think Russell Wilson oftentimes does not risk throwing that pass because he's trying not to turn into Jameis Winston. He does not want to throw the interception because, of course, turning it over is the worst thing you can do most of the time of the result of any kind of play, right? That's the ultimate worst thing that can happen in that moment. So there's that. With so many guys, the passing lanes, the openings weren't there. Sometimes Lockett would still find a way because he's so squirmy, right? But they did a good job of shutting down Metcalf because they were able to work with that formula. And they're not a big blitzing team. But when they did blitz, oh man, did they, especially at the end there, they got home and calculated and executed it just perfectly, which stymied our comeback plans. But what does open up, and what I wished Russell had done more of several times in the beginning of the first half, was one thing you got when that happens. You got 7 guys back, 4 people rushing. Once Wilson breaks the pocket, you've got all this room. The next 5-10 yards is all open. And there's so many times I wanted Russell just run the ball. He's always looking. He's always looking to extend the play and throw it. But as you saw in the second half, he started running more, and that's when he started tiring out the defense. He started getting first downs, kept the drives alive. I just wish he would have done that from the beginning, because if he'd had, I think we would have been in that game a lot earlier. So, we were pretty limited on what we could do offensively. That was the one thing. If I could change one thing, is I would have had Russell run more, And I think if they'd done that, they would have had to change their coverage. They would have had to bring a guy out to spy Wilson, take one guy to coverage. Maybe that opens up one more person. Because we're not going to invent a run game that doesn't exist with our running backs. It wasn't working. And, Russell still needs time, and if we don't have those guys back to protect because of our line situation, it's hard to get those guys open. So, there were other things I wish we'd have done. That was number one. That's the number one simple one because they did it. They did it late, though. But I would have liked to see more screen passes because anytime you have, an aggressive pass rush, you run screen passes and, that tends to slow down a rush. And again, if we didn't have our running backs, who normally have we been doing that all year with. So, again, we're shorthanded in that regards. And I've said before, that every time we go against a team with a good quarterback, and last week, Sunday was no exception, Rodgers, how quick did he get rid of that ball? It's like, snap, hit guys crossing over, and it said, where's that for us? And I just think there is something about that thing there. I think Russell, with his height, I think he is afraid to throw quickly with all this traffic in front of him. I think he likes to know that he's got a clear lane and not want to risk, the turnover. So I just think that's why a lot of times Russell doesn't throw it right away, doesn't trust it. He doesn't want to take a chance of getting picked. And that's just my thing that I've always wondered, why doesn't he throw it as quickly as like a Brady or a Rodgers or Garoppolo or even what's his face for Jared Goff, because that's what kills us on the defensive side. So that scheme-wise, that's one thing I would change on the offensive side. Now, let's talk a little bit about what everyone was bitching about, which is the end of the game and that call by the refs. When I first saw the Jimmy Graham catch at the first down marker, I first thought he got it. It didn't look short at first glance. He looked like he got it. Then they started showing the line and where he landed in slow-mo. Then they started looking, maybe he was short, Don't know if that yellow line was official or not, but as soon as they started replaying it, you just knew there was not enough evidence. I just knew that they wouldn't. I wanted them to do it so bad, just so that, to keep the game interesting, because then the Packers would have been forced to decide, do we go for it on fourth down? Do we risk turning it over right there? Do we kick the field goal, which would have still made it a one-touchdown game and Seattle would get the ball? Or do they just go for it? Do they get it? Do we stop them? Or if they get it, end the game? I mean, it just would have added one more play of excitement, but instead they didn't give us that opportunity, unfortunately. But I'm not surprised by the call. It would just seem like, with all at stake, ruling on the field being a first down, it was very unlikely. There wasn't enough evidence. Just wasn't enough evidence, even though I really wanted it to be. Okay, so I'm really not that pissed about that referee call. I've seen worse, and my gut feeling was that it wasn't going to go our way. Just my quick eyeball test. I've seen worse where I go, man, that's a terrible spot. What are they doing? But that one I felt like they got it. So, but really the damage was done before that. And if you want to rewind back to, you can always go and say, well, this would happen, this would happen, then the outcome would be different. But given what I like to do is when I look back at, well, how would this have played out? I like to rewind from the point that here's the end of the game. Well, let's go back just to the point at which the pivotal plays happened, because I'm not going to go back to the first quarter and go, if we'd done this in the first quarter, that would have totally changed everything. May or may not have, but the bottom line is we ended up at this point in the fourth quarter. So everything had played out just right. We had all the momentum. And, of course, if you want to go back to the earliest point, we got our last touchdown. We were trying to go for 2. And if we go for 2, then we're only down by a field goal because we were down by 5 at that point. Lynch misses the blitzing corner on the right side. Wilson doesn't see it somehow, even though he's facing. It's not the blind side. I don't know how he doesn't pick him up, but he doesn't see him. He gets sacked. No shot at even trying the 2-point conversion. Would have changed things because, a field goal, that's a big difference when you're down by a touchdown versus a field goal, because, psychologically, all you got to do is get to about the 35-yard line. You can win this game instead of knowing you have to go all the way for a score. Anyway, but they still had that chance. Everything in front of them. Then they got the stop. They got the dual Griffin sack. He goes down. Oh, we're flying high. Seahawks get the ball with plenty of time, all their timeouts, and a 2-minute warning to come. Almost too much time. But the first and the house of cards that was the Seahawks loss, the first one that did us in, that really to me is the one that is the most frustrating because we had it all going at that point. Malik Turner, you gotta catch that football, man, because we had a first down at Packers territory. All he's got to do is use your hands. He did one of those body catches, doink, and off it came. And we had a couple of drops like that. Turner had a couple of drops. Hollister had a drop like that where he didn't, he did this thing and the ball goes in. Circle up, reach out and grab those. Well, I was taught in football, attack the ball with your hands. Don't wait for it to come in here. Super Bowl 49. Ricardo Lockett. No. Yes. This touchdown, this interception. Anyway, so that was huge because then it became a second down. We go quick pass to Hollister, becomes 3rd and 5, still manageable. But then, of course, we give up another sack. It's another blitz. We don't pick it up again. And then we're faced with 4th and 11, at the loss of 6 on the sack. Now, I've been hearing a lot of chatter, listening to different commentators, analysts, talking about the decision to go for it or punt. And I kind of asked everyone in the crowd, I said, should we, actually, no, I asked the crowd to go for it or kick the field goal earlier. No, actually, I didn't pull the crowd where I was at Emerald Downs. But everyone around me was saying, got to go for it. We were like at our 30-something yard line. I mean, at the time, at 4th and 11, I actually thought punting was a good idea. I was not against the idea. And to my surprise, even my buddy Pat said we should go for it. My dad said we should go for it. Mark Collins said we should go for it. Everybody was saying we should go for it. I was thinking we should punt the ball because with all that time left, the defense just has to get one stop. And we had just gotten a stop the drive before. And we got them to 3rd down twice. 3rd and long twice. The problem is, and this kind of encapsulates the whole season as a microcosm of the season. The thing that killed us is the thing that's killed us all year long. We could not stop the crossing route in the middle of the field. The first one was, I can't remember. The first one went to Devontae Adams. I can't remember. It was whatever. He got a great throw. He's sliding to the ground. I mean, couldn't. That was a great throw. Unfortunately, we weren't there, and as usual, we weren't there. And then, of course, had to be the freaking Jimmy Graham doing the same play that he's done all night, crossing over middle of the field, gets the throw, untouched, and untouched on the way to that pattern, by the way. It's driving me crazy. And then that was it. So I feel like that's really what it came down to. So many times this year, it was our defense's inability to stop people is why we lost, why we didn't go all the way this season, and why we weren't going to go all this way this season, and why this game ended like that. Dukes of Hazzard, everything you're saying is spot on. That's right, I know what I'm talking about. No. And so that really was, if I were to say, was our Achilles heel all season long. That was it. I mean, all season, and probably the biggest frustration for me was that Seattle was good at adapting with adversity, especially on the offensive side. Lose this guy, okay. Lose Disley, Hollister steps up. Lose Britt, little Joey comes in. Granted, he wasn't holding his own as good as he is, but he was holding enough. Lose these two guys, bring up the backups. Lose your running backs, bring in Marshawn Lynch. I mean, we were adapting and surviving. Of course, Russell Wilson always being back there always makes things happen. DK Metcalf rising up, as a rookie. But on defense, yeah, we lost a player, but we also gained a Quandre Diggs. But we had most of what we needed going forward, and for whatever reason, we could not solve that issue. I mean, it was there in game 1 against the Bengals, crossing routes that couldn't be stopped, and it was just as bad in week 17 or week 18 or whatever week this is, 19. Is it 19? Week 19. And that was the worst part about it. And I don't know who's to blame for that. I don't know if that's a Pete Carroll issue, if that's a Ken Norton issue, if it's a talent issue. I don't feel like it's a talent issue. I think I blame more scheme than I do the players. But the fact that they could not solve that this late in the season, whatever adjustments needed to be made, me and Pat were speculating, they need to get these receivers, jam them at the line of scrimmage, because they would just run one step, wide open, one step, and they didn't change anything. It's like the same movie over and over again. You got to change, definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Nope. They probably just watch the film and go, hey, guys, look what Seattle's doing. They haven't fixed this. Let's try it. Worked every time. Very frustrating. There were some great throws that the Packers made, like Devontae Adams was playing great. The deep one, especially, I think, on that first 3rd down conversion, I think, at the end of the game. I'm getting my 3rd down conversions mixed up now, but there were some great plays there that were just, that they had done, but it was a lot of the bread and butter stuff that we couldn't stop. Unix Format, thanks for the super chat. Hit that like button. Yes, please hit that like button. Let's go Hawks. Oh, by the way, I'm at like 36,800 subs. So if you haven't subbed yet, I'd really like to get to 37. I was hoping to get to 40 by the end of the year. Didn't quite make it, but it'd be nice to hit that next mark. And anyway, so you know what I really miss? I think back at why is this so different? Why did we not have this problem before? 2 words. Cam Chancellor. Cam Chancellor, man. When Cam Chancellor was in the middle of the field, he was so notorious. He was so infamous, almost legendary for lurking around that middle of the field. And I think enough people saw what he would do to crossing routes. They didn't want to go there because he would blow you up. Now, maybe the rules have changed now to where maybe you can't do some of those things he did back then when it was still allowed 5 years ago and at the peak of the LOB. But still, we lacked that. Quandre Diggs brought it in the beginning, but we just didn't seem to have that fear mentality that back in the day, I'm going back to like 80s and stuff. Dukes of Hazzard again, and pick up some NorbCam merch. Thanks for the super chat and the shout out. I appreciate it. Cam was intimidating. Yes, it certainly was. But do you guys remember that? Yes, some of you are too young, don't remember this term. It essentially made it extinct. But the term hospital pass. Do you remember that? Do you remember what the hospital pass was? Well, hospital pass was if you're running across the middle and your quarterback floats a high ball where you have to basically go up high and expose your whole body and essentially allow an oncoming linebacker or a cornerback or safety to drill you while you're completely exposed, basically breaking your ribs and send you to the hospital when it was still legal to do that. That's a hospital pass. Well, they don't do hospital passes anymore. You're not allowed to hit guys like that. A defenseless receiver rule is essentially ruled that out. So maybe even if Cam Chancellor was playing, maybe it would not be as much because you can't do those things anymore. But still, while he was there, he was a force that you just did not go there. And that's what's missing now. There's nothing standing, at least in the Seahawks defensive scheme. There's nothing that stops people from exploiting the middle of the field. And something's got to change. That's their biggest issue. Well, I shouldn't say biggest. That's number one of their big issues. Number two, that was, the other downfall to the Seahawks was pass rush. I said all year, you got to have pass rush in the playoffs because if you can't get pressure on those good quarterbacks without having to blitz every time, which we had no way we could get to them, you're going to be in trouble and pick you apart. And we did not get enough pressure on any of these quarterbacks, really, except Philadelphia, but that was a joke. But and that was probably the biggest underachievement of the Seahawks was we gave up Frank Clark, who was our best pass rusher last year. Him and Jaron Reed were the 2 best pass rushers for the Seahawks last season. We gave up Frank Clark and went to the Chiefs in free agency because we didn't want to pay him. So we hoped Jaron Reed would step up even after his 4-game suspension. We thought, okay, once he comes back, he's going to be his beastly self. He wasn't. So what did we do? We got spend our first-round pick on what? LJ Collier to be our next Frank Clark replacement. I made my music video at the beginning, or not music video, it was I think Star Wars trailer spoof at the beginning of the year. I even joked about if we could get LJ Collier to be 50% of what Frank Clark is, we'd be doing well. But guess what? He wasn't even 50%. He wasn't 10%. He wasn't 0%. No, he was 0% because he didn't even play. He wasn't even on the field during the last stretch. Most of the season, he was played maybe 50% of the time, and then he was completely gone. So our first round draft pick wasn't even on the freaking field. So that's a swing and a miss in terms of drafting and addressing the need. So whatever it was, I remember people going, the Seahawks select in the blah, 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 pick, Seahawks select LJ Collier. What the hell? Who's this guy? So we missed big time on that one. To spend your first round pick on a guy, and We've had some bad first-round picks, man. I'm telling you. We had LJ Collier. Hasn't worked out yet. Nural, by the way, thank you for the super chat. Long time 12 from Italy. Found out about your channel just this year. Keep up the good work. Go Hawks. Thank you. Nural from Italy. So that was bad. We brought Clowney in, and he's been good. He hasn't been great, but he's been good, and we saw what he had to do to try to fight through all his injuries and stuff. But he impacted games single-handedly and had some pretty other good games. So he was a good pickup. Ziggy Ansah, shadowed only in terms of ineffectiveness by LJ Collier. He's been there, but he really hasn't been there. He's been like the invisible man. Really not any kind of a factor, and that was sad because you felt like if this guy could be what he was 2-3 years ago, coming from the Lions, I had ideas that he'd be like when we got Cliff Averill, big pickup from the Lions, and look what he came to be. So I had delusions of grandeur that Ziggy Ansah would be the next coming of nope. Cliff Averill 2.0 was not to be the case. And so Jaron Reed didn't get it going on. Nobody really stepped up. So we had no pass rush. They tried. At least I give them that. They tried. You blame the talent for not stepping through, or you misevaluated it, but it didn't work out. We had 3 guys brought in to do that, and made one for 3. Not good. And Jaron Reed, if you include him in the group, 1 for 4. So pass rush still looms large. So that's really it. I really can't complain too much about the other, positions. We were decent on the run. Not great, but decent. Linebackers, Bobby, KJ, did all right. Again, there were times I felt like they were just a step behind chasing guys. And again, I don't know if that's a scheme or if that's a talent issue, but it just seemed like those guys were often like, here comes a guy crossing. 1 step behind. Completion, 10 yards. Here goes KJ. Jimmy Graham, over shoulder. 15 yards. Saw too much of that. So, again, I don't know if that's talent or scheme. Something's got to be fixed. Because you're not going to just completely take your defense and go, well, that didn't work out. Let's just take all these guys off, throw them away, and let's just start from scratch. Because sounds good. Just like everybody wants, let's just fire this guy, fire that coach. But what are you going to replace him with? You got to think about how you're going to replenish what you get rid of. So they got some questions to ask. Who to keep? Do we re-sign? Do we bring back Clowney? And it sounds like he wants to be here, and it sounds like they want him back. And I think he would be great to be back, but the price has got to be right. He's not going to get Frank Clark money. He hasn't earned it. So if he's really as happy as it sounds like I read a tweet that he went up to John Schneider's office at the end of the year after he cleaned out his locker, telling him how much he really likes to be here. So that's all great. It's great to hear. But in the end of the day, it's going to come down to that contract situation. Seattle doesn't like the number, or he doesn't want to give the break on the number, then we might not have him back. But I would love to bring him back. I thought, earned it. Unix format. In the part 3 video, perhaps a Titans or Chiefs fan can unite forces with NorbCam to help rescue your daughter from that dang Chrysostomo. That's going to keep going. People say, I guess you're done now because Seahawks lost. Heck no. It's independent of what happens here. I'm going to do some other stuff. Yeah, we won't be playing games, but I'm not stopping making videos. I'll have to do a video all about hate comments. I've been getting some good ones. But somebody said, yeah, I'm glad the Seahawks lost. That way you won't have to make any more stupid videos. Well, sorry to tell you, I'm going to make more stupid videos, even though we're done. So, good idea, though. I keep getting a lot of people asking for Chrysostomo. I'm going to give Chrysostomo his own special moment as a 49er fan. But I guess since you guys are asking for it, I have to give it to you for a second. I should have my 49er hat ready. Guess I don't have it with me here. Here he goes. Chrysostomo, quick teaser appearance to tease his new section coming up soon.
What's up, 12s? The corniest name for a fan base in the world. Guess who's going to the NFC Championship? Oh, wait, we're not going to it. We're hosting it. Bye-bye. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Whoever made up that stupid chant anyway. Bang, bang, Niner gang. See you from the couch. Enjoy while we make it to the Super Bowl and win. Bye-bye. I'm taking over this channel, by the way. Chrysostom 2020. Peace.
There you go. Hope you enjoyed that. More of that to come. I'm going to have an identity crisis. Pretty soon everyone's going to be like, Norb, I don't want to hear from you. Just put Chrysostom on. I'll be like, God dang that Chrysostom. It's making my life miserable. It's all people want anymore. I hate him. I'm going to kill him. Anyway. Where was I at before I got sidetracked by that Chrysostom? I was talking about defense, talking about players. Kind of a cool thing I was hearing that, there was a question about beast mode. He actually had a cool press conference. I don't know if you saw it. I need to put that up and react to it. He actually, it's so weird to see him at the podium actually answering questions. But they asked him, so what'd you think of the season? Solid. You had 3 or 5 touchdowns in 3 games. How was that for you? Solid. And then he goes on to talk about young players need to take care of their chicken and make sure their mental is right and their body's right and all this stuff. And it was great. It was like, you preach, Marshawn. But they, apparently, he was asked about will he be back, and he said we'll see. And but there's this talk about possibly Marshawn Lynch returning in a specialized role with the Seahawks next year. And you know what? I think it's a great idea because they could keep him around as kind of like a. This is the perfect role. Assuming we get Chris Carson healthy and back again, and all of our running backs, those guys are the staple. And I don't even know if you make Marshawn Lynch a active roster guy. You just keep him around like a running backs coach throughout the year, and then when you get to the last 3 games, you activate him. You make him basically a specialty 1-yard line back. He's the first and goal at the 1 back. That's special teams, just for category, just for him, just to do that one thing and to come out, to hype up the crowd. I don't think it's ever been done before. I think it's brilliant. They should just bring him back, and do just that, just at that time of the year. Don't waste him early because he wouldn't do any good, wearing him out. Just save him at the end when we need to get those, 1-yard touchdown runs. That would be pretty awesome. So it'd be like that goal. It's like, just do well so that at the end of the season we have something to play for, and then we can bring beast mode in and do the 1-yard line runs. So I hope they figure out some way for him to come back. That would just add just that much more fun, just to see him on the sideline and hear him on microphones talking, because that alone is awesome. What else? What else, guys? Thank you for jumping on with the chat in here. I do try to look in here. Marshawn cussed about 5 times in his press conference, says Seahawks Martin. Yeah, good role model. No, it's that's what you get. That's what you get when you put him in a mic in front of him. He's just going to be real. And he's only 33 years old. As Mr. Nukeman 2025 says, dude, Marshawn isn't even that old. Look at Frank Gore. And really, the line wasn't opening up any holes for him. But Lynch, this wasn't a situation where he could just come in and be the featured back. If we had Carson, it would have been such a great, still wouldn't have been a good thing. Or even if we still had Penny and Lynch. But, it's tough when you get your whole backfield decimated, man. It's crazy. We need to cut CJ Procise. I think CJ Procise's time is finally ended. Says the Zekeinator. I do believe that he's finally reached the end of his rope here. How can you not? I just don't get it. Let's see. Have we covered everything? So I talked about that last play in the Packers game. We talked about the not stopping on 3rd down. We were 3 for 9 on 3rd down. Packers were 9 for 14. Not good. And then the other disappointment, which is kind of a quietly understated disappointment, was John Ursua, man. What happened to him? They never talked about why didn't he not get more playing time. He goes in there for 1 play, and he almost scores a touchdown to win the game against the 49ers, but he makes a catch, 11-yard catch. And he gets plays like a couple of plays the week after, and then we don't see him again. I bet if he went up for that ball, he would have caught that ball and not Malik Turner. I'm just saying. But don't know. I'd like to see more of that guy. One, because he's really cool, and I had a long conversation with him. If you want to see that, look at my interview at the beginning of the year. I sat down for like 15 minutes with the guy on a couch chatting about food and basketball and Hawaii and all this kind of stuff. So cool, dude. I wanted to see him get his chance. But I think that's it. I think I kind of said what I wanted to say. I thought, let me think here. I definitely know what we need. There's going to be some people we got to figure out some things with as far as moving forward. But, you know, Metcalf's going to be great. Lockett's going to be great. Again, I still believe in Carson. Penny showed he's got something, you know, to earn that first round, you know, draft pick status from 2 years ago. And it's just health really got the best of us this time. But defensively, they've got to figure out what's up, because this is the disappointment part. So, as far as the Packers game's concerned, I really wanted to see one more shot. Give Wilson the ball with 60 seconds left. Go the 25 yards or whatever. Because I believe, really, that if he had had one more shot at it, we would have won that game. I really think we could have done it. If the defense could have gotten one stop and we would have gotten the ball back, we would have won that game. I'm convinced of it. We would have done it. And the other sad part when I think about how good Russell Wilson has been, he hasn't been perfect, but he's been pretty damn good, is that every year that goes by that we don't make it back to the Super Bowl, it's one more year we don't have him for. Because everything's like, you know, it's like a gas tank, right? It's like Russell Wilson has a finite number of years with this team. And with every year that goes by, and this is the case with every player, right? There's nothing new, but just the thought that, because right now it feels like Russell Wilson's going to be here forever. He talks about playing here until he's like 80. But in this prime where he's one of the best players, best quarterbacks in the league, every year that goes by, it's one less year we have him, 1 year closer to him being finished. And it's just a shame when we feel like, man, we have this guy that's doing amazing things, and to feel like we didn't. He says in his press conference, you know, I can live with the loss because I know we left everything out on the table. When he's on the field, I do believe that. I believe he gives it everything he's got. But sometimes we didn't give him every opportunity to give everything he's got because he wasn't, you know, on the field because the defense didn't get the ball back for us, or that, you know, we should have given him more opportunities to run the ball or taken the leash off. And I don't know if that decision to run is Russell's or is that Pete Carroll. We'll never know because that's inside their own heads kind of thing. But, you know, Russell running, is that something where, you know, the coaches say, okay, Russell, if you see it, take off? Or is it like, does Russell just tell himself, I'm going to keep looking and wait until it's time and then I'll run? If I could get inside his head and be a little conscience on his shoulder, I'd be whispering into his ear, run, Russell, run, more often. And, you know, earlier and more often. Not all the time, but just a little bit more often. Take what they give you, especially at the end of the season here when, you know, it's do or die. So that's pretty much it, you know. That's kind of the, I guess, lasting feelings at this point. You know, moving forward now, it's the next thing will be free agency. They have to decide first what players, you know, there's going to be the restricted free agents, the unrestricted free agents, which guys are they going to try to keep, which guys are going to let go. You know, there's always that change at the end of the year. Coaches, will any coaching changes happen? Should they happen? You know, I see a lot of people say they should fire Ken Norton and bring in Wade Phillips. It's a thought. I like Ken Norton as the linebackers coach. I just don't know about him as a D coordinator. I'm not convinced yet at this point. So there's that. And then, of course, we'll have the draft. And we do have a lot of draft picks. We turned a lot of these, moves into some draft picks. So we got some players we'll be getting here, but I don't get that thrilled about the draft because we missed so badly on some guys. Malik McDowell. How come when we get guys named Malik, we have issues? Malik McDowell. It was the first, or what was he, first round? Was it second round? No, I think second round. I can't remember now. But I remember the guy, the ATV guy who basically got hurt after we drafted him and then never played it down for the Seahawks, and don't know what kind of mess he's getting into now. But Malik McDowell, Malik Turner, just ironic. Come on, Maliks of the world, rise up, do a good thing for your name, please, for the love of God. So the draft will be coming up, and we'll see what gems we get. It'll be fun actually to break down how our drafts have actually gone. Just actually sit down and look at the drafts for like the last 6-7 seasons and see who's been the good ones and who've been like complete wastes. Because I think the draft is overrated. Except when you're up there in one of the losing teams and you're drafting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When you're the real cream of the crop guys are up there. But just we've had crappy drafts, man. Especially on the higher picks, we had just Jermaine Ifedi, another high draft pick that I don't know if he'll be around next year. No, I think he's another one of those guys that, obviously a lot of people have seen enough of him. But again, you let him go, who do we got in there? One thing about Ifedi is he's like the one guy has the most penalties and drives you the most crazy is the one guy who stays healthy the entire year. Go figure. The guys you want to be in there, the Dwayne Browns, he gets injured with all kinds of stuff, has to get mid-season surgery, end-of-season surgeries. Your center, the guy who's like the most reliable, most important, he gets injured. But who's still around? Mr. False Start, Mr. Hold himself, Jermaine Ifedi. I got to admit, though, he was actually pretty good. At least we didn't hear his name called that much in the Packer game, so you can't really complain too much about what he was doing. But not funny, though. It's like the one guy that everybody wishes was gone is the one guy who stayed healthy the entire year. The entire year. The one guy you want to have leave. Nuts. But yes, and then there's the draft, and then after the draft, a couple months will go by, and then we'll start talking training camp. We'll do this crazy thing all over again where everybody thinks they're going to the Super Bowl, even if you're the Jets or the Buccaneers or the Browns. Anyway, Quandre Diggs, yes. Shelton Mayfield, I want to have Diggs back. But then McDougal, I'm not sure what his contract situation is. Trey Flowers, love him, hate him, keep him, stuck with him. Shaquille Griffin, I think is working out pretty good. KJ Bobby, they'll be there. On the line, these other guys, there's Jefferson and Green, Reed. Reed's contract I think is up too, because I know he's playing for that. He needed this year to play for that contract next year. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention Mr. Nukeman 2025, mentioning AB and Josh Gordon. I didn't even mention in that little opening thing saying if I told you you're going to lose all these guys, and you're going to get Josh Gordon and then lose him to drug testing. I forgot all about that. Forgot all about that. I mean, he contributed. He was such a short-lived little flared up and flared out as quickly as he came. But he was just starting to take off and abort. Sean McCarthy, we need to keep Thompson, Flowers, Diggs, and Disley. Okay, Disley, Diggs, and is for sure. Flowers and Thompson. You're talking about Tedrick Thompson, Mr. Got Beat Deep. But had some good picks midway through the season, early in the season. I don't know. This is definitely not we have not found our LOB replacement. We have the O. We don't have the B. We definitely took that L. Oh, God. Too soon. That was pretty funny. I didn't even plan that. So, yeah, secondaries. There's this whole defense. There's just a lot of question marks. The only thing that's solid is the linebacking crew and the front, and a couple pieces in the line. But the secondary, Diggs, Griffin, okay. Good. McDougal, actually, I do like how those combo play, but I'm still looking for that. I'm looking for that Cam Chancellor, because he's one in a generational guy, but I'd love to have that strong safety be that kind of guy where bring fear back to the middle of the field, please, somehow. Make them think twice about running across. Right now they just run like, I'm tipped into the tulips, throw it to me, I'm wide open, thank you. None more of that. It's got to stop. But anyway, that's it. I'm out of stuff. Oh, so you see Seahawks 12, Marquise Blair. Yeah, there's another one. There's another kind of John Ursua sort of what the hell happened to him. Marquise Blair, he's out there. It's a special teams and stuff, but not good enough to be on the field. I thought he might be the next Cam Chancellor type, but Jay Venom. Why hasn't the OC been fired? Schottenheimer. Well, we don't fire coaches in a hurry. Look how long they kept Darrell Bevel. And looking back, was he as bad as everybody thinks he was? I was kind of hoping they would have fired Dan Quinn from the Falcons, and just to play with the idea of, ooh, Dan Quinn's floating out there. We should bring him back, and then put Ken Norton back in linebacker coach. Let's just bring all the old guys back. Let's just while we're on the Lynch plan, let's just bring everybody who's still alive out there who can still put shoulder pads on and run. Bring them back in there. Doors ringing. I think that's probably the neighborhood kids coming over to see if my kids want to go play in the snow, in the 1 inch of snow. Do you want to build a snowman? No, I'm sleeping in. Anyway, so I guess that's it. That's it for now. We're not done talking to it. I'm going to do a call in, let you guys air out your thoughts a little bit. Maybe bring in some guests, milk this end of season as far as we can milk it. But I want to get just my initial thoughts on it. I think I got everything else I wanted to say. There's really not much. Yeah, ring doorbell. Doo-dee-doo. Cody Barton, Ugo Amati, Fumi S is asking. There's a lot of, I know what you're saying. I think they're kind of, I don't know. None of these guys really jump off the page and make you go, ooh, he's the man. Quandre Diggs, yeah, he's the man. But there's a lot of kind of, he's the, I don't know. Oh, they're knocking now. Persistent, they won't go away. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go away. Let you guys get back to school. If you're in school watching this, you shouldn't be. You should be off your phone, paying attention, learn something. I'll talk to you guys later. Don't forget to sub me up. Get me to 37K. So I can I want to get to 40 real quick here. That'd be pretty awesome. All right, you guys. Thanks again. This was fun. Helped me feel better looking back again. Overall, can't complain too much. It was a pretty good season. All right, you guys. Have a great day. And I will see you guys on the next video. Go Hawks.